Smart people of Reddit, what's your best ideas for passive income? It's not completely passive, but it doesn't take much effort on my part. I have temp-controlled storage for motorcycles and other valuables like that. It's seasonal to an extent, but October through May it is well. It's only a 30 by 40 shed, but I can fit 25 bikes in there easily. Any type of self-storage is a good income. If you can specialize a bit, it gets better. More or less what my friend does, and I'm getting into buying used quad bikes as cheap as he can. He does buy so-called broken ones and 9/10 times only have one fault. He makes a decent bob from it too. It's not exactly something you can do alongside a full-time job unless you buy local, within an hour's drive. But even 1 or 2 quads a month earns a taxable income, so nothing to shake your head at. This is what I want to do. My husband is all about buying up rental property. I just want to do storage units. We live very close to lake country and it's balls cold here half the year. Storage units cost a small fortune to rent a month. I want to build living quarters in them and employ non-violent people with felonies to manage them. We would give them a company phone and vehicle and they would live on site, so their wages would not be huge overheard. Maybe like $35–40K a year. That's low, but with transportation and housing covered, I feel it's fair for our area. I'll give you a serious answer that did me well. Goes for people learning or that know a second language. Find some public domain books, translate them. You now have rights over the translation. Get it into a library. Profit. Works really good if you're from an obscure part of the world undergoing political turmoil. Georgia, Armenia, ex-Yugoslavia, that has been talked about in the media the past 30 years. University students will need primary sources, and there is a lack of supply. My brother actually fell for that shit. A website advertising a way to make money with very little effort. The instruction could be bought for €10. He actually bought it, got a mail and the instruction was, make a website advertising a way to make money with little effort. Send people who buy it a mail with those exact instructions. Stupidity caption. Please do not fucking do this. Your personal insurance will be voided. To stay insured, you will need commercial coverage on your vehicle, which can very well wipe out any profits made by the company paying you to advertise. Source: commercial insurance broker. It should be noted that insurance guidelines are state-by-state regulated, so it might not be that way in every state, but it is in every state that I do work in. Over 20. Anything where you work once and get paid repeatedly. The first option that springs to mind is content creation. Books, courses, videos, whatever. You work your buns off for a period of time, but then once the work is done you can let it turn income while you're not actively working on it. Contrary to popular belief, it doesn't have to be some specialized expertise. The first book I bought about wood carving was a self-published how-to, and it was literally as base-level basic as you can get. The bare fundamentals. Time and experience has taught me that the author likely learned just enough to teach the basics. His work was very rudimentary and crude, not at the level of even a person with a year of experience. He worked a lot once, and since he penned the book in 1999, it was around that time anyways. He's gotten paid regularly for that one-time work. You work an hour at a coffee shop, that hour pays you once. You work that hour on a project like a book, video, course, that hour pays you several times over. Learn to manage your finances and avoid debt. Always be judicial with loyalty to any employer. Blind loyalty can bite you on the ass. If times get hard you are expendable. If you get a different offer of employment, don't reject it out of current loyalties, but do weigh your options. Put 15% of earnings into investments. An easily obtained 7% yearly average will double your input in 20 years. 40 years would be near 5 times the principal. More aggressive investments could be much higher. 12% is a reasonably attainable average, and the same 40-year investment would be over 18 times the principal. $400 per month for 40 years at 12% will net you $3.50 mil on $200,000 investment. Don't underestimate the power of compound interest. When your money makes money is when true wealth happens. Some of the ideas on here are not called passive income, they're called jobs. If you have a bunch of cash, the best vehicle for passive income is and will almost always be municipal bonds in the state where you live. Federal tax-free, almost always state income tax-free, and will net you a pretty good chunk of cash if you find the right bonds. Otherwise, drop a couple hundred into an index ETF that models the Dow Jones Industrial Average or Fortune 500 and wait a couple of years. Other passive income ideas: buy a partnership in a business that is already managed. You can be a passive partner in the business, but there are some rules that apply to passive partners that don't apply to regular partners that can make this a headache, especially if the business loses money. Landlord: buy a house and rent it out. A bit of a crapshoot, since tenants can be either incredible or terrible, but unless you have excellent knowledge on real estate managing already, you're going to want to hire a real estate manager that can handle the calls, maintenance and repair, and other things. On the landlord point, I have a friend who decided to buy some properties to rent out. She and her husband bought 3 or so, and quickly found out that it's not just a matter of screening potential tenants and then just watch that sweet rent money flow in, especially when buying low-rent properties that need some work. Within a few years they started selling off their rentals. The last one was unloaded a few months ago. If you're single, buy a house or townhome instead of renting, and then rent out your spare rooms. It's not really passive income so much as offsetting your mortgage until that's paid off, but my current effective rent is less than I was paying for an apartment, and that money is, mostly, about 1/3 RD is still gone into interest, going towards paying for an asset I'll own at the end of all this, and real estate prices will more than likely offset the money lost to interest with interest of its own. Some PPL here don't understand the difference between active and passive income, so we'll explain. Active income refers to income received for performing a service, using your time and energy to work for money. Wages, tips, salaries, commissions are examples of active income. Passive income is referred as income you don't work for, you only need to set it up, such as earnings from a rental property, limited partnership, or a enterprise in which a person is not actively involved. Edit: my choice of words aren't the best, so I'll explain further. For passive income you still need time to set it up, and in most instances you will work to set it up. Besides, even after you have your passive income set up, you still need to maintain it and keep it running. There was an explanation from Mark Talbury that passive income usually doesn't mean you can completely let go of that gig without any effort whatsoever. A better mentality is to build something until you get to a point where you only need to put in a few hours of work a week, just to keep your audience base. This could be a YouTube channel, website you own, or even a business you got successful enough to outsource the labor. Any successful market format may change over time and you want to keep what you created. Not exactly passive, but very low effort. House sit. I live in a decent area, near a good-sized city with affluent suburbs. I get paid for basically hanging out, keeping an eye on the place, and taking care of a few pets, which to me is enjoyable, since I love animals and can't have them where I live. I always choose places that are convenient for me to get to and also to commute to my job. I house sat as a favor to a friend of a friend, and she gave me great references and recommended me to other people in her fairly affluent circle. I end up house sitting quite a lot at certain times of the year, and in really nice places. This might not be no effort, but it sure as hell doesn't feel like work. Go on Fiverr and set up a few gigs of a medium price, and then through another Fiverr account just outsource your jobs to people with that gig of a cheaper price. Video and audio editing is good for this. Make game assets or gain. Go on Fiverr and have game assets created and sell them on the Unity 3D marketplace and other places like that. Sprite sheets, 3D models, scripts, world's your oyster. Any digital product is a good product because they require no physical space nor any manufacture past creation of the one file you upload to have downloaded. Game assets are in high demand and good to get into. I'll start building passive income using this myself at some point. buy real estate. You can use tons of low-interest debt to buy it. You get depreciation and other tax benefits, and your tenants will pay off your mortgages and build up your equity in addition to giving you cash flow. There are lots of good strategies, but no need to reinvent the wheel. This one works for dumb and smart people alike. There is no real passive income. All types require some form of work, sacrifice. But to answer your question the best way I can, real estate. 1. Get your foot in the door by wholesaling. It takes zero money to start wholesaling real estate, and if done correctly it can net you tens of thousands in just a few months. Save as much of that money as you can. 2. Reinvest the money from wholesaling real estate into REI groups with the monthly, quarterly dividend. Try to save those checks as well. 3. Once you have enough, and both those doors opened, invest in rental properties. Your first one should be bought with an FHA loan, but that will require you to actually live in one of the units. But if you increase the rent enough, you'll not only be living for free, but receiving extra money every month. With these 3 steps, it's probably the closest you'll ever get to having the type of passive income that people really want, which is to live financial free with the least amount of work put in. But like I said, there really is no such thing as passive income. You'll always have hurdles to overcome. Stop whatever you're researching right now and just buy land. Buy land. But I can't, cries your subconscious. I'll never have the money. Your fingers itch to type in, the boomers took it all. It's way too expensive. You're crazy. Yes, it certainly feels that way. And that's exactly what genuine capitalists hope you'll continue to think, so they can keep buying all the land. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, it's been made all the more difficult for POC and anyone younger than boomer age. But you'd be amazed how the numbers actually shake out if you manage to shush that inner voice that tells you it's impossible and actually run the numbers. Living with 3 people now, what's the average mortgage where you are? Comparatively, wouldn't it be better to split that instead and have a whole-ass house at the end? Making money every month just by existing, I promise you a mortgage is almost always less than you're currently paying in rent. Yes, there are more risks. Yes, you need to save a chunk of money first, but there are loans specifically made for first-time buyers with as low as 3% down. If there's still doubts screaming in your ears that this is the best passive income strategy long-term, if you know anyone in a tax bracket above 100K, ask them about their real estate investments. Almost all of them will have some. I feel like more people need to know about FHA loans. My husband and I, back when we were a brand new couple, found ourselves in a situation where we needed a new place to live. We lived with the guy that owned the house and he was starting to go a bit crazy. We quietly started moving our stuff into a storage unit and looking for a place to rent. Buying didn't cross our mind due to the down payment and his credit being garbage because of identity theft. We found one shitty townhouse that allowed big dogs and getting rid of the dog wasn't an option. So he decided to talk to a banker one day. The banker told him all about FHA loans. We didn't need 20% and we only needed a 580 credit score. This kicked us into overdrive and we did end up spending a few thousand to fix his credit. But the banker was absolutely amazing. He sent so many letters to the credit bureaus on our behalf to get most of this stuff off his report due to identity theft. He approved us for $330,000 provided we can get his score up. We knew $330,000 was way too much, but we found the cutest little 4BD/3 bath in a great neighborhood. This was in 2013, way before this housing BS. We paid around $800 in earnest money. On closing day, we brought a check for our $3,600 down payment and his credit was $581. Had we not had to clean up his credit, we could have gotten into our home for $4,400, plus the cost of the inspection, I think around $1,000. Always get an inspection. Now, of course, I wouldn't buy a house and get into a payment that would stretch us thin. But you can buy a house for way less than you think. Talk to a bank, figure out your options. And we got to keep the dog. And now we have 2 dogs. It was an absolute win. Crypto may be a terrible long-term investment, It has existed less than 2 decades. We just don't know yet. The moves China made to shut down crypto may well be replicated in other nations, threatening the perceived value of crypto. I'm holding a small amount of crypto, but I treat it as a complete gamble, even though I'm up for in less than a year. Dropshipping. But do your research and know your company. I did well dropshipping furniture and made a good return. However, it became problematic when the company I worked through got a new carrier. They were smashing shit up, dropping it off at wrong locations. If anything went wrong through the carrier, many customers took it as I personally messed up. Lastly, some customers are idiots. One guy confirmed a delivery with 5 times, and didn't bother to answer his door, though he did say he got cards through the letterbox. Eventually, the carrier sent it back to the warehouse and I was on the hook for reshipping. It pissed me off. But you will have more good experiences than bad. I was thinking of restarting it with kitchenwares but haven't yet. So here's the straight scoop. I know it's not what people, especially folks who have visions of blindly putting their money in some investment vehicle and then drinking Mai Tais on their yacht, want to hear. But this is truth. The amount of money you will make on any endeavor is directly correlated to the amount of effort you put in and risk you take on. There is no such thing as a free lunch. You either have to work your investment like a job, real estate, or take on ludicrous amounts of risk, crypto, or accept extremely low, possibly negative in real terms after inflation, returns, treasuries. It's possible to find something that is fleetingly a better deal, of course, but the markets are ruthlessly efficient and everyone who isn't having to ask this question on Reddit has better information on where you find deals than you. My advice, educate yourself and don't be afraid of work. If you're handy, look into real estate. If you're touchy, there are ways to invest in drop shipping or Amazon affiliate businesses. If you've got money you can afford to lose, look into paper investments and crypto. If you've got money you can't afford to lose but don't need for a while, look into bond ladders. In the end, educating yourself will pay bigger dividends than asking someone else what to do, and nobody can tell you what your risk tolerance or work ethic is. Personally, I have bought into 2 different businesses, both successful. In one case, I loaned the necessary funds to open the business. My other 2 partners could not have done it without me, and there was risk involved, and got a 10% stake. I saved all of that money and later bought out 30% more from one of my partners. All I really do is deal with accounting and help with business upgrades occasionally. It is a small time commitment. In the second case, I am one of 3 partners in a franchise. One of the partners created the franchise, and his cousin is the other partner. Franchise creator has 50%, cousin and I have 25% each. For my 25%, I will be putting in a lot of sweat equity, along with the other 25% partner, for the first few months, until trustworthy management is established by us and we fully learn the business. The franchise creator is waiving the initial franchise fee for us because he is looking to become the largest franchise of this time of business in our region, and he wants to expand quickly. It's always good to talk to people and see what potential opportunities may be lying right at your feet without you even realizing. Best of luck. Passive income is genuinely life-altering and so freeing. Invest early. Whatever you get on your paychecks, put 10% away. Get a financial advisor you can trust as quickly as possible. They can offer 10% plus returns every year typically. I think mine currently offers 15 to 18%, which is fantastic. The rule of 72 is pretty amazing and something everyone should know to realize how important investing really is. I currently don't have children, but I plan on having an account for them as soon as they are born. My family has been improving each generation because of this, which allowed my grandfather, a blue-collar mill worker, to put his 3 kids through college and do the same for my generation. I am very fortunate that at my current rate I should be around the millionaire club in my late 30s at the very latest if I don't add anything more to any of my accounts. Currently 25. I hope this motivates someone at least out of all this. Purchase a detached house or duplex, then lobby your local government to never densify your neighborhood despite ever-increasing urbanization and immigration. With a bit of appreciation and luck, uneducated investors from China will notice your gains and leap into the market like some jaded Gen Z thinking GME will hit $1,000 a share based on a gorilla emoji. Seems to work f-king swimmingly in my country.